December has been an insane month for JoJo fans, anime and manga alike. After what has felt like an eternity waiting for the next animated part of JoJo's, so much so that it just became a running joke that Stone Ocean would just never come. We finally got the Made in Heaven arc animated on the very 1st of December. And, oh boy! People won't shut up about how Netflix ruined JoJo's and the hype surrounding all of it. Well, I don't know what in the world you all are babbling on about, because I, for one, felt the most visceral emotions for a TV show in my entire life. After watching that part, watching the whole ending to this whole universe unfold, and then to hit me with the goddamn roundabout ending? Dude, I felt so many emotions in one. Like I had just lost a loved one, but I had also just finished my entire life's work. If you had held me at gunpoint in the hours after I had watched the final episodes, I'd have pulled the trigger for you. Because I knew, in that moment, I could die happy, having watched Stone Ocean fully animated after what has felt like lifetimes spent in wait to see Anasui say, live on television, if there's no Mickey, that shit ain't Disney! Then, like the JoJo gods were just tossing out Christmas presents like it was December or some crazy shit like that, just 4 days later, we got the first piece of news about Part 9 ever since the mere notion of it was implied 15 months ago. Now, full disclaimer, I'd been waiting for Stone Ocean since I finished the anime, 2 years ago now? JOJOLands, yeah, let's just say it took me longer to finish JOJOLion than it took Araki. It's been maybe a year since I finished JOJOLion, and since it feels like nobody has actually read the thing, I forgot almost all about it. Quiz me about JOJOLion right now, and I'd probably only be able to vividly describe to you the epic beetle battle between Josuke and Jobin. Maybe I could recall that one time Josuke broke into a woman's bathroom while she was taking a bath if you're really lucky. But besides that, yeah, all of it's a blur at this point for me. Honestly, I didn't understand too much of it anyways. However, none of that matters in the face of such a heavenly event. A new part of JoJo's? I don't care if you're an anime-only or manga reader, liberal or conservative, Nazi or gay or both. A new part of JoJo's is a fucking new part of JoJo's. I mean, that's at least, one whole new JoJo? Not to mention the conspiracies flying around about there being 2? I mean, 2? I would just fall to the floor and drown in my own semen at that point. Speaking of points, let's just get to it already. Just after the news about JOJOLands Protagonist, just a few hours ago, the release date was confirmed for February 17th, 2023. Just 2 months away. Go ahead and double check that your Apple Watch isn't calling the authorities with the 700 BPM I just gave you. Because I mean, holy guacamole! Aren't you excited? Even if you haven't finished JOJOLion, even if you haven't started Steel Ball Run, hell, I don't care if you have no idea what the hell JoJo's Bizarre Adventure even is and you've just been confused out of your mind for the past 3 minutes, wondering how in the world I broke into your house. This is big fucking news, no matter where you're at in the series. It has been a full decade since we got our last Joestar. I mean, for the entirety of JoJo's the anime, there's only ever been 8 JoJo's. 8 parts. This is the first, the 9th, and the last JoJo in the history of JoJo's as we know it. No shit, this is a big event for the community. So, in the spirit of good news, I thought I'd go over the current theories for JOJOLands. The main protagonist, the setting, the plot, all that good stuff. So you know what to expect when the big day comes. As we know from a released interview from a few days ago, the next and final protagonist for JoJo's will descend from the alternate universe Joseph Joestar. That immediately narrows it down to... well, actually, it doesn't narrow it down at all. Historically, JoJo's has never gone back in time besides when switching universes, and as well as he wrote Enrico Pucci, I don't think Araki is gonna go nuts on the Made in Heaven shit for the 3rd universe in a row. So, lo and behold, JoJoLands would have to be sometime after 2011. In other words, there was no shot that we were getting anybody before Joseph Joestar in the first place. The only direct known descendant of Joseph would be Holly, which, as funny as dementia is, I really would not like to have to bear through a repeat of the Jailhouse Rock arc for the entire fucking part. Of course, in the translation at least, Araki chooses the word descendants instead of children, which means we can go beyond just this Holly bitch to her children and... Alright, so from here, there's a few ways this could go. The most likely way is the classic Joseph Joestar move of Nut in the Hoe and Niguru and Dio, giving us another descendant of his that we've never met before. Of course, that would just be another Josuke, which we kinda already have with, you know, Josuke. So then there's the Jolyne route, a descendant of Josuke, probably 2 generations down, since we've never had a direct descendant of the JoJo just one part ago be the next JoJo. It's always separated, like with Jonathan to Joseph, there was George Joestar, the second in the middle, or between Joseph and Jotaro there was Holly. Then again, we've also never skipped that far forward in time, since 2 generations after Josuke would be, give or take, 40 years from when JoJolion takes place, or around 2050. Definitely don't see Araki making a part about fighting climate change or some futuristic liberal bullshit like paying your taxes on time. A suggestion I haven't seen thrown around at all, actually, is Descendant of K, who kinda serves as Jotaro's counterpart, so it would make sense if we went down 2 generations from there as well, get a Jolyne counterpart here as well. But again, we get to the futurism issue, so maybe not. Either way, with Johnny mirroring Jonathan and Josuke mirroring, well, Josuke, we're bound to have another parallel universe JoJo for this part, and most people's money is on Giorno or Jolyne because we already have Joseph and Jotaro's counterparts. Personally, I would go with the fact that there's no vampirism in Part 7, thus Diego never gets Jonathan's body, thus an alternate universe Giorno would be impossible, thus we'd have to go with Jolyne. But I have the feeling Araki is going to surprise us with this one. I have the feeling that Araki's just going to flip the cards on us and make us go, on the day of when we see something that completely defies any and all so-called rules we tried to think up to predict the next JoJo. What if it really is just a descendant of Joseph? Like, literally just another kid we haven't heard about yet. Or, better yet, what if it was just straight up going into the future, 2050 type shit? It's really hard to know, honestly, but I guess we'll see on that fateful date. There's a lot to unpack about the upcoming part of JoJo's, so let's start by setting the scene. That is, where in the world will Part 9 take place? Well, Araki hasn't given us a concrete answer. According to the JoJo News post, Araki's first thought was to have Part 9 take place in Morio, but that was all the way back in 2007. Like, back when I was just coming out of the womb. In 15 years, I'd like to think I've changed quite a bit from when I was a boob-gobbling fetus, so I'd have to assume Araki's had some time to change his mind as well, especially considering that Part 8 ended up taking place in Morio. We've never had 2 consecutive parts take place in the same concrete setting, and on top of that, personally, if Part 9 took place in Morio again, I would be bored out of my mind. My favorite parts of the series are Parts 3 and 7 because of their fast-paced nature changing setting every chapter. And I'd like to argue that Parts 1 and 6 are the most hated parts because they were very stationary in nature. Obviously, there's some exceptions there. For example, Part 4 was pretty well liked, and they never even once left Morio during all of that. But generally, I think the biggest weakness in JoJo parts is usually a lack of a change of scenery. I really do think I speak for a lot of people when I say I wouldn't want JoJoLands to stay in Morio for the 3rd part of JoJo's in a row. But of course, we can never know what that goober is up to in his manga content. Except, we kinda do, because he's hinted at quite a few other settings in the past as well. For example, more recently in 2016, he mentioned wanting to do a story in Northern Europe or the Scottish Highlands. Now, to be totally transparent with you all, I don't even know what the fuck that's actually supposed to mean. To me, the Scottish Highlands sounds like a new fucking biome for Minecraft v1.20, which gives me the image in my head of some barren land with nothing but green grass and big ass. Hills. Northern Europe doesn't ring any bells for me either. I know Western Europe because that's basically New York doubled 10 times over, and I know Eastern Europe because that's basically just Ohio, but Northern Europe? Best I could do for you off the top of my head is like, I don't know, IKEA or something. That's in Northern Europe, right? But let me stop pulling shit out of my ass and do some research for you guys. Scottish Highlands. Well, I'll be damned! It looks exactly like a Minecraft biome! Yeah, I don't know how that would work in a JoJo context. It all looks pretty barren and uninhabited. But it is called JOJOLands, so it really might take place in the Highlands. It does seem like a pretty mystical place with a lot of storytelling potential. Being the origins of the Loch Ness Monster, it does seem like the type of thing Araki would like to weave into a story one way or another. And then there's the possibility of Northern Europe. In other words, the Nordic countries, the British Isles, or Iceland. Again, they're climates that are rather unexplored in the JoJo universe, besides of course England, so I could see Araki opting for a quick change of pace after having settings mostly just in America, England, Japan, and Italy. All pretty urbanized places. Speaking of Italy, in 2019, even more recently, Araki commented on wanting to actually set another part in Italy as well. Definitely another possibility to consider. With Italy, we might have a storyline that calls back to part 5, though, again, the Giorno in the story would have to be somebody completely different. The plot of JoJoLands is pretty up in the air. With the next JoJo in the next setting, we have definitive patterns to look back on, but in regards to plot, it feels like Araki uses some sort of roulette table to decide his next move. I mean, we go from a slice of life in Morio to a drug cartel in Italy to a prison break in Florida and then to a fucking horse race back in the 1880s? The man is unpredictable. Nobody but him could say for sure what he's planning for us next. And I guess in a way that is the beauty of JoJo's, why we're literally all here. A constant game of cat and mouse, no matter where you're at in the series. All the way from the beginning up to the final part of JoJoLands. Sure, you can make good predictions about what'll happen next. You can try. But Star Platinum having been the same stand as the world this whole time, Poochie straight up killing the entire cast of JoJo's only for a 10-year-old to beat him at his own game, leading into a universe where we get them all back better than before, then into a universe where the world is upside down and suddenly we're back in the 1880s, we're doing the entire series from the beginning? That is something you can only get from JoJo's, my friends. So, whether the next part stars an Alter Universe Jolene, Giorno, or an Alter Universe version of the fucking frog from part 1. Whether the next part takes place in Morio, Italy, or bumfuck Mars. Whether it's a prison break, a drug bust, or God knows what. I think we'll all be looking forward to it. See you all, February 17th, 2023. To keep up with the latest JoJo news with the greatest JoJo YouTuber, make sure to turn on notifications when you inevitably subscribe and like the video. Yes, fate is bringing you towards this. You have no free will. Your next action is to dislike the video because I just told you to like it, isn't it? Regardless, I hope you enjoyed today's installment, and I'll see you all for more next time. Sayonara.